Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the case of the Idaho Moscow quadruple murders that happened on the 12th to the 13th of November 2022. This is for entertainment purpose only. Pay attention to this young man's glove. And pay attention to this glove that was found in the crime scene. I'm not necessarily saying that this is the same glove, but I kind of find it strange that this glove was found in the crime scene and those boys were not far from the crime scene, from the house.
It is a piece of potential evidence everybody is talking about online. The glove that the police almost missed. It was dropped, or it was thrown out outside the home where the 4 college students were stabbed to death in Moscow. And there is a good chance that it would still be there right now, but for a former homicide detective turned podcaster who noticed it while he was actually visiting the scene on Thanksgiving, which is 11 days after the murders. Chris McDonough is a veteran of the Oceanside, California Police Department, and currently he's the director with the National Cold Case Foundation. He's also co-host of the podcast, The Interview Room, and he is live with me tonight. Detective, it's so good to have you. First of all, I am shaking my head as I even think I'm doing this interview with you. Take me there. Tell me what happened. You literally showed up and looked down and said, "Hello, gentlemen, come over here. Have you seen this?" Is that really how simple this was?
Yeah, it really was, Ashley. I mean, it was my wife and I, it was Thanksgiving Day. We happened to be up here in Idaho. And I said to her, I said, "Hey, let's just go over where that, situation's taking place at the university to get some tape." And we're walking up the street. And the first thing that caught my attention, to be honest with you, was all of the cars still parked on the property. And then I looked over and I saw there was an officer controlling the scene sitting in his vehicle. And I looked to the left and I saw that what appeared to be a glove. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Is that a glove?" And she goes, "Yeah, I think it is." And so about where Brian was standing tonight, I walked over and looked over, and sure enough, it was a glove. And I immediately got
you know what I'm going to do? I am going to, Chris, thank you for saying that. When we go back to Brian in a little bit, I'm going to actually ask him to walk me to the exact spot so that everybody who's watching right now gets the full perspective. Sometimes it's hard when you're watching through a one-dimensional TV screen. So I'm going to do that. In the meantime, help me with this one, because you're the murder detective, but you're also the person who found it. What kind of glove was it, and the significance of the kind of glove as pertains to a murder?
Well, I can't really tell what type of glove it is, if it's a male, female. And obviously the significance may be nothing, but it also could be very significant. There appeared to have snow on it, so I assumed it had been there for, quite some time, at least, before the earlier snowfall. I later learned there are photographs of that glove floating online, and you can clearly see it there. And, I was unaware of those at the time. And when I told the officer, I waved him over and I said, "Hey, you need to come take a look at this." And he walked over and his first words were, "Oh, wow." And I said, "Yeah," and I told him, I said, "Hey, I'm a retired homicide guy. You probably want to collect that, get your evidence people out here to do that." And he took some photographs of it, and I assumed that they, had collected it. I videotaped them doing it just in case, at least taking the photographs. But yeah, it was crazy. It was just sitting there.
And this is, to be clear, it's inside the crime tape. This was not something that you discovered outside the crime tape, but they weren't watching, they weren't looking for it. So they'd had 11 days to scour the outside of the property. And I need to remind our viewers that you're from California, where one of the biggest first cases of my career happened, and a bloody glove was the significant piece of evidence in O.J. Simpson's case, which is why we don't make light of something that's just maybe looks like garbage. Certainly that's just a couple dozen feet from the front door.
Yeah, I mean, the significance of it, is unknown at this point. Obviously, if it is involved, then it could be, very important. If it's not, then, at least you have it and you can put it into evidence just to say it's there. So, the officer, in my opinion, said he was going to bring the evidence folks to come collect it. And I hope they did that, to be honest with you.
So the other key part here is that you, as a homicide detective, you've seen me inside of a courtroom or two. And today the police were telling us part of the reason they're keeping information so close to the guest is to preserve the pristine nature of the prosecution, of the criminal procedure. So I could see a defense attorney watching our interview right now and saying, you didn't even see the most critical evidence, even inside the crime tape for over a week and a half. Like, you leave something too long and that becomes fodder for a defense later on as well. So it's a problem if you don't pick it up for the investigators. It's also a problem for the prosecutors. I'm going to just give you about 20 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. And 100%. I mean, and so you got to ask yourself, why were the cars still there for 2 or 3 weeks? And the first thing you do is you work the crime scene from the outside in. You don't work the crime scene from the inside out. And those cars should have been impounded within day 1 or day 2.
Yeah, I also thought that they should be looking at the GPS of all those cars. And you don't do that while they're parked. So that's fascinating. And you and I are going to have a longer conversation about working a case from the outside in. So this is your formal invitation back, Chris McDonough. Thank you.
You'll see the black glove that was found outside the crime scene. And the black glove is one of the 3 unidentified male DNAs that the defense attorney Ann Taylor is fighting for to be released, because if they don't do that, that would be an unfair trial. She should be entitled to all the evidence found, and now the prosecutor, Thompson, is saying, how can we provide evidence if we don't have it? I guess they had 8 months to get rid of the evidence. So this black glove, you can see, I believe it's a male glove. It's a bit thick. It's like made of thick clothing or material. And it looks long, actually. That's kind of strange, because that's what one of the young men had on. This is what he had on one of his hands. And that glove looked quite long, if you ask me. I thought it had a bit white on it, but it doesn't actually. It's a reflection from the camera, the body cam. I find it strange and interesting that he had only one glove on, because he has taken out the other hand when he was in the Banfield. You see, there's ones that he has both the hands out. And so this young man, he's trying to stamp with his foot on Maddie's jacket. I think he was trying to push it towards the trees and bushes. You can see he's standing more towards the corner. He's standing a distance away from his friend because he's trying to cover up the black jacket. That's what I really believe. You can see the black glove. And he doesn't have a glove on the other hand, because it would have been, his pockets would have been sticking out. Like you would have noticed that the other pant would have been more thicker, because the glove is quite thick. There's something red in the bushes. I don't know if it's an empty bottle or something. You can see them picking it up. It's a black jacket. They put it down. See, they open it. They watch the jacket. They look like they're looking inside the jacket. And you would expect them to take it in as evidence. They throw it back. Guys, is it me who's imagining? Please correct me here. Or are these officers checking the pockets? Did they just come to check the pockets and then throw the jacket back in the bushes? What will the point be? This is another picture that interests me. There's Jack D on top of the roof. I don't know what he's doing, eating ice cream or kissing a beer or whatever he's doing. I don't know if that's Adam. Yeah, it looks like Adam. And that looks like a white Elantra. And guess what? Doesn't that look like the pickup car that comes into the corner club? Wasn't the police looking for a white Elantra? No, a white sedan is what they said at the start. With occupants, or an occupant in the car, or persons, or person in a car. Has Jack D been checked? This was the second unidentified male DNA left on the scene inside the house. This is near the Good Vibes picture, I believe. And the third one was the Leighton diamond footprint found, the shoe print found in front of Dylan's room. So that's 3. It looks like someone touched it with a glove, but it can't be because it's a DNA, unidentified male DNA. So what was going on in the living room? Could someone have attacked one of the victims? Possibly Zaina or Eaton. Zaina could have got a DoorDash. She could have been sitting and eating in the living room when somebody came. So horrific to even think about it. But how could somebody's footprint land there? This is actually interesting. Kaylee Congalvis did not follow Jack Dujour on Instagram, but he followed her. You could clearly see he wrote, "I love you." No reply from Kaylee. The mayor said it was a crime of passion. Wonder if allegedly Jack D couldn't stand the thought of Kaylee leaving for Houston without him. John Showalter is standing behind. The guy who walks in with the black tracksuit looks very suspicious. The reason I say that is when he comes in, he's standing in line. John Showalter looks at him. He turns away. Then he looks at John Showalter. Then John Showalter turns away. Then John Showalter takes out his phone. He starts texting, and then automatically this guy takes out his device and texts back. This was a very odd interaction between these two men. I still wonder if Eaton and Xana could have been the targets, since they had an altercation with someone in the Sigma Chi that night, allegedly. And the police were asking the public information about the whereabouts of Xana and Eaton from 9:45 to 1:45. Actually, 9 to 1:45. May they rest in peace, all four of them. How did Maddie's jacket land over there? I wonder if the private taxi driver drove them near the steps where the jacket was found, and they decided to walk up themselves. I feel so sad for them. They were such best friends. And Xana and Eaton look like such a beautiful couple. May they rest in peace. This was the gas station footage. Look at how dark and tinted the windows are. The car that was allegedly seen in front of King's Road looked kind of like this, and it was dark and tinted, the windows too. The police was looking for a white sedan at the start. Then they said it was a white Hyundai Elantra between the years of 2011 to 2013. And then later on they said it's Brian Koberger's Elantra, which doesn't have dark windows and which is a 2015 model. Something doesn't add up here. I'm not accusing anyone, but I'm just wondering, could Jack have got jealous and hurt, heartbroken, that the love of his life for 5 to 6 years was leaving and was moving on without him? I showed you on the Instagram, Kaylee Congalves, may she rest in peace, didn't even answer to when he said, I love you. Was this a crime of passion from Jack? Why was his hands injured? Why did he have a bandage on that day? And 2 band-aids? Why was his face swollen? Why didn't he pick up the phone calls, 7 from Kaylee and 3 from Maddie? Was someone holding the girls as hostage, allegedly, and may have made them call Jack? Did Jack owe anyone any debts? Allegedly, I'm just thinking out loud. Jack didn't inform Kaylee and Maddie's parents about the quadruple murders. He was sleeping, allegedly. And when he came from the corner club, he said he didn't hear the phones because he was playing PlayStation and then he fell asleep. Allegedly. Was the 2 surviving roommates traumatized? In shock? Or did they know exactly what was going on? Allegedly. Dylan noticed bushy eyebrows more than anything else. the person was on his way out. Nobody knows if the person saw Dylan or if Dylan saw the person only. Let's get that straight. It isn't written on the affidavit that the person saw Dylan or the person didn't see Dylan. That is just Dylan's words we are going by. So you can take it or leave it. I'm not taking Dylan and Bethany's words. Because the more time goes, the more we can actually digest and understand that nobody takes 8 hours to call 911, especially when there's an intruder who just did a quadruple murder in your house. You hear your roommate crying and you don't do anything about it? And you can hear a man saying, "It's all right, I'm here to help you." What kind of crap is that? I mean, what kind of crap is that she doesn't call 911 immediately? It makes me, this is my personal belief only, it makes me believe that she was confident that she wouldn't get hurt. For her not to call the police. Or did she know the intruder? Did she know the killer? Allegedly. What about Bethany Funk? BF, why does BK want to talk to you? And why is your file sealed? You are an important witness. What does BK know about you? Was BK in the home? And he saw you? And you saw him? Or did BK hear from other people that you witnessed the crimes, allegedly? These two know more than they're saying. Both of these young women, John Showalter Jr. and possibly Jack D, come from Boise. And they all went to the same high school. These people know each other from Adam. They know each other from time. I don't mean Adam in that way. I mean they know each other from ancient times. They're just lying. And Bethany Funk moved to Nevada because apparently Nevada has certain rights that favors her as a witness. This is so unfair. These girls deserve justice, and these two young girls could have helped. They could have helped to start with by calling 911 immediately after the killer left. Because even if the emergency couldn't save the girls' lives, the victims' lives, they could have at least got the crime scene in order. They would have got more DNA evidence. Why did they take them 8 hours? Was there something illegal in the house that they had to take out? I've heard that from many people, but I wonder what was in the house. Was it shipments and shipments that they had to literally carry outside and go and hide it? I don't think so. Whatever they had in the house would have taken the max 1 hour, 2 hours to take it off. I don't think it was only about stuff in the house. I think there's a cleaning crew or something was happening there allegedly. Brent Kopacka has been talked about in this case a lot. May he rest in peace. I have questions when it comes to Brent Kopacka, and the reason I have questions is Brian Koberger's father mentioned him. Why would he mention Brent Kopacka? He didn't say his name out loud, but he spoke about the SWAT team incident. And let's not forget, Brian Koberger and his father was on the road for 2 days. So how would they know? Brian Koberger allegedly made the Reddit psychology report or research asking for participants or whatsoever. He could have been sorry. He didn't ask for participants. He was talking about doing crimes, how people felt like before and after the crimes and such things. I wonder if he got participants from his research. We know that Brent Kopacka had a lot of knives in his room. I'm not accusing anyone, but I'm trying to get justice for these victims. So I can't be blindfolded by talking about some suspicious people and not talking about others. It took a SWAT team to have a 7-hour standoff with Brent Kopacka. He was shooting at the SWAT team until they had no choice but to unalive him. His own best friend said to T-Rev on his interview that Brent Kopacka's phone was restarted. And allegedly, there was rumors 8 months ago in the beginning of this case that Brent Kopacka, his 2 roommates that he was keeping hostage, had a, what's it called? They confronted him saying that we know that you have to do with the Idaho Moscow crime. And let's remember, the standoff happened on the 14th to the 15th of December, just a month after the girls and Eaton were horrifically unalived. I wonder if Brent Kopacka had, may rest in peace, had a K-bar knife, because K-bar knife is a military knife. He had a lot of knives, we saw that, and a lot of masks in his home. And he lived only 6 to 7 minutes away from Brian Koberger's house. I find it strange that Brian Koberger's father mentioned him. This is the police stop in Indiana where Brian Koberger's father is talking about the SWAT team. How often does it take for a SWAT team to come out and have a 7-hour standoff with someone? And right after Brent Kopacka was unalived by the SWAT team and by the Washington Pullman police, the police was searching for Brian Koberger. I don't believe that to be a coincidence. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment, and I'd like to thank every new subscriber, old subscriber, all my subscribers, viewers, for taking your time to watch my channel. Please leave a comment. You're leaving interesting comments. It helps me too. I learn a lot from y'all. We may not all agree the same time, but we can agree to disagree respectfully, and always keep in mind their YouTube guidelines. So before I get a strike, not use certain words. Say unalived and say red liquid instead of y'all know what. But besides that, I would really love to thank y'all. Y'all keep it always professional and classic in the chat. I've noticed that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Justice for Kaylee Congavs, Zana Conodal, Eaton Chapin, and Madison Morgan. May they rest in peace. May the correct justice be served. And condolence to their families. Allegedly, Brent Kopacka has scars. He has one swollen hand. I think it's the other side of his eye. And then you can see he has a scar on his wrist. I wonder if he got stitches there.